All right, thank you for listening to another episode of the Game is the Game podcast. I'm here solo. We're going to go ahead and break down Eastern Conference Game 1 real quick and talk about these new two NBA coaching hires. Rick Carlisle in Indiana and Jason Kidd just got announced to be the front runner in Dallas, which is pretty interesting because it looks like Rick Carlisle might have thrown in an assist. Uh, no pun intended on that. So we're gonna go ahead and get to that. Like us, rate us, subscribe, leave us a comment. We definitely respond. Let's go ahead and get into it. But first,
Yes, yes, ha ha, ha ha.
all right.
I need the
So
realness.
talk about
Somebody's feel this.
last night's
All
game
I
one.
really want.
I was on this podcast with Eric a couple of days ago, and we talked about the Hawks and the Bucks series. And I said I thought the Hawks could definitely win. Vegas had them as a heavy favorite. They were 8-point underdogs. I jumped all over that. Uh, I would bring up my bravado. I don't know if that's uncouth, but I went heavy on the Hawks yesterday because 8 points. I just thought that was too much. I think that the Bucks are a fundamentally flawed team. I'm not saying that they're going to lose this series. We'll see what adjustments they make, but we'll start on their side. They're a fundamentally flawed team. They just don't have enough guys. Pat Connaughton, fine player, but um, him being in a closing lineup in the Eastern Conference Finals, I just think that just shows a lack of roster depth. Now, you would say probably the rebuke to that would be, well, DiVincenzo got hurt, but even him playing, I think that he might be overtaxed being a closer in a tight game in the Eastern Conference Finals. You have a game where Chris Middleton once again did not show up, 6 of 23 from the field. He's a guy that they're paying major money to, a guy like Tobias Harris. And I just think with guys like that, you're just overtaxing them, putting them in a situation where they're shooting crunch shots in the Eastern Conference Finals. He should be standing in the corner. I always talk about big threes, that one guy is always standing in the corner, but he's someone that should be standing in the corner. He should be waiting for someone to make the play to give it to him, not making the play. And that's the conundrum that is Giannis, because in clutch situations it's hard to give him the ball to facilitate. And Zach Lowe has talked about now they're using him more as a screener, but I think you're overtaxing Holiday and you're overtaxing Chris Middleton to be the person to make those plays off the screen. Um, During the offseason, they had a sign and trade for Bogdanovich that was reported that got nixed because of NBA trade rules. And he's someone who's paid major dividends when he's been healthy for the Hawks. I think he was big in their win over the Knicks so decisively. I mean, he's hurt for the Hawks right now, but a player like that, you might say, hey, well, Middleton and Drew Holiday are better than Bogdanovich, but I think that he approaches these situations with a lack of fear and with the confidence that these two don't have. Despite them shooting all those shots, I just don't think that they want to be in the position where they're making these plays. They're kind of forced into the position to do it. So on the Hawk side, Trey Young, and I feel bad about it now because before the playoffs started, I have a video that states that Trey Young is better than Luka, in my opinion, will be the better player. And now it looks dated because, I mean, Trey Young is showing the world who he is. 48 points, dominated that game. It was obvious that the Bucks game plan was to give him a lot of the floaters and the jumpers, and I'm sure he's willing to play it. The guy that I've been impressed with more than even Trey Young, because I said I've been on his bandwagon, is Collins. I thought that they should trade him. I thought that he was a player that was an empty stats, empty calories guy. I've been really impressed by his offensive rebounding, his willingness to just be a guy, a glue guy. I wanted them to actually go after Aaron Gordon. I thought that Aaron Gordon would be a nice pick and roll partner for Trey Young because of his playmaking off of it, almost like a souped up version of a Draymond Green. But Collins has played well. I think he's earned a big contract. He's made some of the biggest plays for the Hawks. There was a big offensive rebound that he had when the Hawks were down 7 that he put back in that kind of changed the flow and the narrative of the game a bit. And he that bucket really stabilized them because I thought that they were going to lose. I took the Hawks +8, as I told you, and they were down 7 at that point. So if they get that rebound, defensive rebound, the Bucks, and go down and score, that probably opens the floodgates. But him getting that offensive rebound, put back, led them back on the path to take back the lead. He had a similar play versus Philadelphia in Game 4. They were down 4. He gets the offensive rebound off of a miss. I forgot who missed the shot. He gets it, gives it to Trey. They reset up offense. He hits a corner 3. They're down 1. They end up winning that game in the last second, and obviously end up winning the series. If they would have lost that game, they'd have been down 3-1. They probably lose the series. So I just think that the Hawks, I mentioned that Bogdanovich is hurt, but they have Gallinari who's getting buckets. I mentioned on a previous pod that I thought that, while KD, he's having a historical performance, I think that we're overrating it a bit. And wait, hold on. I think my mic just went out. Yeah, we're overrating the performance a bit because I just don't think PJ Tucker's a good defensive player anymore. He's obviously given up 6-7 inches in height to Kevin Durant. But before, he was able to play this physical nature, and he was always able to move his feet. So you would have to deal with him being in front of you and also deal with his physicality. And I think that he's lost a step, which allowed Kevin Durant to get the drive and the shot. And that combination is what propelled a lethal scorer like him to have the numbers that he did. But I also think that people had to pay attention to who he was scoring against. And, I got some pushback. Oh, you a KD hater. And now you see, Gallo was working out PJ Tucker. I just don't think that. So if you take him off the board now, that PJ Tucker is probably a negative defender. Now, what are you left with? Where are you at now? Because you're only with Giannis, Crew Holiday, and Chris Middleton. So I just, once again, I still think that the Bucks can win the series. I don't know if they will. I thought this series was a toss-up. I didn't understand the ratings. I mean, obviously, Trey is not going to make as many floaters as he did before, but there's adjustments for them to make as well. I think that they can definitely attack that Tucker matchup. I mean, I think it's clear if they really go back to the film and they look at the amount of success that Gallo had on him was tremendous. So that's something that they need to look at. I think that Lou Will is going to have a couple Lou Will games in this matchup because they really don't have anyone that can exploit him. So I think they need to go back to looking at that pairing that worked in, I believe it was Game 5. Yeah, the pairing Game 5 that they won in Philadelphia. That pairing of Lou Will and Trey Young that kind of brought them back. I think that they should look into that again because they don't really have the offense and the type of players that can attack matchups. So that's my thought on that. What else on the Buck side? Lopez struggled to play, so we'll see what happens with him going forward. And they were able to guard Giannis. I thought that this Giannis rampage, John Collins and Capella, they did, an admirable job on him. So we'll definitely see what happens going forward. Just to touch on the two coaching hires real quickly, Carlisle got hired in Indiana. He has roots from there previously, I believe. I thought that he was waiting around for the Bucks job. I think he definitely probably would have taken the Bucks job if Bud got if the Bucks got eliminated. Bud would have gotten fired, and that would have been his spot. I think it's a good hire for Indiana. We've talked about on the last pod. I thought that he's a top 3 coach, unquestioned. This is a team that offense can get very clunky at times. So I think that you have an accepting point guard and Malcolm Brogdon. They call him the president because he's so diplomatic. So I think that would be a good partnership between him and Carlisle. I think that the only place that I see might be for some fault lines is with Karis LeVert. That matchup, that mesh-up of players was a bit clunky to end the season. So I don't know. It doesn't mean that they're going to trade Karis LeVert, but He kind of freelances and does his own things sometimes. He wants to run pick and roll and play the way he wants to play. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up with the roster. But I think Carlisle was a home run signing for them. They've been cycling through coaches. It must hurt Pacers fans to see what McMillan is doing. So to get the a consolation prize of actual upgrading the coach and Rick Carlisle, just my personal opinion, then I mean I think that's great and tremendous. So we'll see. Indiana was a sneaky team. A lot of people liked them. They started off hot and hot and ended up not being mentioned at all, like Hove said. And we'll see if that was injuries. A lot of guys got injured, Turner, Warren, or if anybody's going to get the best out of this team, it's going to be Rick Carlisle. So we'll see what happens with that. The last one, it looks like Jason Kidd's going to get signed by Dallas. Rick Carlisle in his press conference said that he hoped that it was Jason Kidd, so maybe he knew something, or maybe it was actually just fortuitous and serendipity that they end up hiring Jason Kidd. His stretches as a coach has kind of been a mixed bag, I believe. He started off really hot. I believe it's with the Nets. And then he went with the Bucks, and a lot of people blamed him for not using the talent that the Bucks had, quote unquote, properly. In comes Bud. They hopped from an 8 seed the year before to, I believe, the 1 seed the next year. So that's right. They were the 1 seed the following year. So people say, oh, it was him. He wasn't ready. He wasn't doing the proper thing. So we'll see. I mean, Jason Kidd, obviously a Hall of Famer. He's someone that I think that Luka's going to have to respect as a player and a coach. I mean, he's going to command that respect as a coach, but he's not someone that Luka can just talk crazy to, because he's a top 50 player of all time. This is one of the top 10 point guards of all time. So you can't just look at me and, blow off what I have to say because you're the player and you're a great player and you just don't know what me and the player means. This is somebody who knows what being a player means, who knows what running the point means. This was a triple-double guy before triple-doubles came back into style with Russell Westbrook. So I think that it was a great hire. Another thing that I'm looking for here is the GM. A lot of talk about how Bob Voulgaris being the shadow GM. Are they just going to give him the GM title and outright? If you hire a new GM, is a new GM going to be wary of Bob Voulgaris and want him fired? Is Bob Voulgaris not going to work with the Mavs anymore? I do think that I actually liked his hire. I still like his hire. I like people having difference of opinion and being brave enough to say what their opinion is. The athletic story on him was like a hit piece to me. It was obvious that it came from someone in, Donnie Nelson's camp. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it, but it seems like I thought that they're going to hire the GM, then the coach. And this is the reverse order, but they said they have a new GM and they're closing in on that. So maybe they already have a deal. They just haven't announced it. I don't know, but that's not what they said that they're going to do. So we'll definitely see what happens. But this is a quick recap of last night's game and some news that's going around the NBA coaching world. So I just wanted to give that to you. Once again, we are going to be dropping those good, the bad, the ugly, a breakdown of every team in the NBA. We're going to try to have at least 4 up this weekend. So look out for that on Sunday or at latest Monday, but look out for that. Until the next time, everybody stay safe, stay solid. I'll see you soon.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, The game is a game. Always.